We have to talk about Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers, who are currently 8-4 as I record this video. And this is not your typical 8-4 team. The Chargers have dealt with a lot of injuries this year, even dating back to the offseason. And this season, we hear a lot about Ben Johnson, the head coach with the Bears, and the work that he has done with that organization. He deserves a lot of credit. The same with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. They have been banged up all year long. Quarterback position, offensive line, wide receiving position, their defense, he deserves a lot of credit. And the same with Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, having a second-year quarterback in Drake May be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But Coach Harbaugh deserves a lot of credit this season with the adjustments that he has been able to make, and the same with Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator, and Jesse Minter, their defensive coordinator. But let's go back to the offseason here. Rashawn Slater, you give him this massive contract extension, rightfully deserved. One of the best tackles in the game. 2 weeks later, you talk about bad luck here for the Chargers. He goes down with a brutal leg injury. Now, early on in the process, a lot of insiders thought that this is not going to be a major injury with Rashawn Slater. He may miss the first 4 weeks. But he underwent further testing, and it was worse than they imagined. He was ruled out for the entire season. So here comes one of those big-time adjustments with Coach Harbaugh. Rashawn Slater is very valuable to the Chargers, not just because he's a regular tackle, and he's one of the best tackles in the game. He protects the blind spot with Justin Herbert. You now have to flip Joe Alt. You have to switch sides of the field, who was a phenomenal tackle last year as a rookie. He performed like a 10-year vet. He was great last year, but now you need him to flip sides. He goes out there, he performs very well. Here comes Trey Pipkins, who has played the tackle position before in the past, but he's a guard/tackle. They moved him to the interior when they drafted Joe Alt to have a stronger offensive line all around. But here comes Trey Pipkins. It's not a good tackle, has some good moments, but on a week-to-week basis, he's not a tackle that you look out for. But these are the cards that you're dealing with. So you go against Kansas City in week 1 in Brazil. Neutral field. You win this game 27-21. Justin Herbert was a superstar in this game. 318 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He did get sacked 3 times, 0 interceptions, but he was phenomenal in the pass game and the run game as well by making plays inside and outside the pocket. And you would think, okay, week 1, Keenan Allen must win off. If it wasn't Keenan Allen, it had to be Ladd McConkey. That wasn't the case here. Quinn Johnston, who was labeled as a bust after his rookie season because he had so many drops that year. He performed very well in this game. And certain points of times, especially in the second half, he looked like a number 1 wide receiver. So you go over to week 2 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Bad football team, but you can't help who you play. You completely destroy the Raiders 20-9, another division rival. Justin Herbert, 2 passing touchdowns, 242 passing yards, 0 interceptions. Phenomenal once again. And Quinn Johnston took the top off the defense. Now, this is back-to-back games here for Quinn Johnston. He's stepping up. This is why you spent a first-round pick on him in the first place. But now everything is coming together. And your offensive line, they're having up and down moments. But in the second half against Kansas City, they performed better. In the second half against the Las Vegas Raiders in week 2, Max Crosby, one of the best offensive players in the game, they performed very well. And now you're working things in with Marion Hampton. And the same with Najee Harris. But you run into a speed bump here. Not only did Rashawn Slater go down with an injury in the offseason, Najee Harris had a weird incident over 4th of July weekend. He had an eye incident. He wasn't able to fully practice in the offseason and work out in training camp. He could not get sweat in his eyes at that point in time. As the offseason progressed, he started to work out more with the team, but they didn't give him those many carries early on in week 1 and week 2. But in week 3, they wanted to give him more of a workload to work out the dual back system with a Marion Hampton, who he selected in the first round, and Najee Harris. Unfortunately, Najee Harris went down with an Achilles injury, and he tore his Achilles. He's out for the rest of the season. But you still win this game against the Broncos. And you win this game 23-20. Justin Herbert had 300 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. But he got sacked 5 times. He was elite against pressure in this game. And we're talking about one of the best defenses in football. Constantly putting pressure on Justin Herbert, it didn't faze him. Getting the football to Ladd McConkey, the same with Quinn Johnston and Keenan Allen. And I love the adjustments that Greg Roman made in the second half. He's an offensive coordinator. He's gotten a lot of hate over the last couple of years, but he's still the offensive mind that helped get Lamar Jackson to that next level. Lamar Jackson won his first MVP when Greg Roman was calling plays with the Baltimore Ravens. Many people forget about that. And Greg Roman, he's not this great offensive mind. He can be generic at times. He can be very predictable. But it was a bunch of quick game in the second half against his Broncos pass rush. Let's alleviate that pass rush. Let's neutralize it, and let's pinpoint certain wide receivers. Let's go back to Ladd McConkey. We can't take those deep shots down the field to Quentin Johnson, but we can work underneath with Ladd McConkey, and we can work those intermediate routes with Keenan Allen. And it worked out into your advantage, and your defense balled out as well. But against the New York Giants, Joe Alt goes down with a sprained ankle, a high ankle sprain at that. He misses the rest of the game, and you lose your first game of the year to the New York Giants. And looking back at it, this was a bad loss for the Chargers. But you lost this game 21-18. Justin Herbert had 203 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. A bad interception in this game to the defensive tackle. The play calling was not the best, and your defense did get exposed by Jackson Dart. At this point in time, the defense did let up a lot of rushing yards to quarterbacks, and we'll go more so in depth with the defense here in the next couple of minutes. But you cannot protect Justin Herbert. You have Austin at the left tackle position. Trey Pipkins is still in. It just doesn't work out. And Marion Hampton had a big-time play in this game. He had a very good game against the Giants. In my opinion, Greg Roman should have ran the football more with a Marion Hampton. But you put so much pressure on Justin Herbert. You can win games without Rashawn Slater. But it's tough as hell to win games without your 2 starting tackles in this league, especially with how impactful Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater are with this organization. Then you run to another speed bump. You go into the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, he's back. You lose this game 27-10. Justin Herbert, 166 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. You started off red hot, but you cooled off. And Greg Roman got frustrated. You're trying to take deep shots down the field to Quentin Johnson. It's not working out. 2 bad games with Justin Herbert, but for context here, they're still missing Joe Alt. The offensive line just isn't good enough. And coaching should have helped you out in this situation, and the same with your franchise quarterback, but it wasn't able to happen. And you know what? Sometimes in the NFL, those type of plays, they happen. Those type of moments happen. But can you learn from those moments, and can you adjust in the future? Now, the next week against the Miami Dolphins, they go down big in this game, but they make a comeback. They're fighting with Coach Harbaugh, and I get it. The Dolphins are a bad football team at this point in time, but this was a huge win for the Chargers. You could not lose 3 games in a row. Justin Herbert was Superman in the second half, 264 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They got it done. But against the Indianapolis Colts, boy, this was a nasty game if you are a Chargers fan. They lost this game 38-24. Their defense got ran through early on. Justin Herbert is forcing the issue. He had 3 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. It just wasn't good enough, and the pass rush was nasty. Still no Joe Alt. Now Trey Pipkins, he's dealing with injuries as well. You're down to 3rd-string offensive lineman. And Greg Roman, he's not making those adjustments. And you just see Coach Harbaugh on the sideline. It's not phasing him, but you could tell deep down that he's really pissed off because they cannot run the football at the next level, and they cannot protect Justin Herbert. At the end of the day, majority of the battle was won in the trenches. And at this point in time, the Chargers, they could not win in the trenches. They're not making adjustments with their offensive line. But against the Minnesota Vikings, something stands out here. Now, over the last couple of weeks, they're working in their rookie tight end, Oronde. You need to have that tight end that could come in and create separation with those linebackers, get those easy yards underneath. Teams caught on to Keenan Allen, who is a veteran wide receiver and is still very good. Ladd McConkey as well, and the same with Quentin Johnson. The league caught on. So you bring in Oronde, who had a very good game against the Miami Dolphins, had some moments against the Indianapolis Colts. Now you work him into this game against the Minnesota Vikings. You feed him early and often. And guess who was back at the tackle position? Joe Alt. And Austin was so terrible, and I feel bad for him. It's the reason why he's a backup tackle, but he was horrible. Easily one of the worst tackles that has started the game this season. Maybe the worst tackle that has started the game this season. He's more so of a practice squad player. But you bring in Oronde. You're running tight end screens. You're putting him in the middle of the field. You're creating separation for him. So now teams are altering the way that they play defense against the Chargers. We have to put a safety on this kid or a linebacker. You put a typical linebacker on him, he's going to kill them across the middle. You put a safety on him, he's too big. So now we've seen certain teams, we just had to put match coverage on him, put roll coverage on him. Now you're basically doubling him with a safety and a linebacker in zone coverage. We're having the safety over the top. Well, now everyone is freed up. Ladd McConkey is back working underneath the field. Keenan Allen, the intermediate routes and one-on-one situations, he is still one of the best route runners in the game. And Quinn Johnson can still take the top off the defense. That one adjustment has done wonders for the Chargers on the back half of this season. And it doesn't hurt that you get your star tackle back and Joe Alt at this point in time in the year. Against the Tennessee Titans, Justin Herbert gets sacked 6 times, but it doesn't matter. You still go out there, you still win this game, 27-20. It's the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are the Titans. Bad football team. I expect for the Chargers to win, even if they have third-string offensive linemen. Titans are just in a bad spot right now. Hopefully the future can be better for them and their first overall pick in Cam Ward. But against the Steelers, this was a very impressive game for the Chargers. You have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cameron Hayward. And he did get sacked 5 times. I'm talking about Justin Herbert here. But you win a game in the AFC. Let's just say the Chargers take a step back in the AFC. The remaining schedule is tough. You now hold those wins over Kansas City, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Denver Broncos in your division, and you defeat this team in the AFC in pretty much dominant fashion with your defense. This felt like a blowout. The Steelers couldn't score. They made life hell for Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and company, and you win this game 25-10. But against the Jacksonville Jaguars, this was a bad game, and this was on Justin Herbert. He got sacked twice. He dealt with a lot of pressure, but he overthrew a lot of passes in this game. He was 10 of 18 for 81 passing yards. They took him out the game. The game got out of hand. Let's protect our franchise quarterback. Hey, Trey Lance, come in. Just get in some reps in the regular season. This was a bad game all around for the defense as well. But when you have someone like Justin Herbert, and I don't know what it is against the Jaguars because this happened in the second half of that playoff game against Jacksonville, he would just miss passes. It's not ideal for him to have moments like this, but hopefully he can learn from it. And that is what he did against the Las Vegas Raiders in last week's game. He had 151 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. He did fracture his hand. It's his non-throwing hand. But we've seen Justin Herbert go out there and play with a fractured thumb on his non-throwing hand. Had an injury. Tried to play through it. It was just too much. They set him out for the rest of the year. That's when Kellen Moore was calling plays. We've seen him play with broken ribs early on in his career, in year 2 of his career. He's going to play through this hand injury. The one concern that I have with the Chargers is going to be the offensive play calling. You're going to be limited. Anyone that has played football before, especially if you've been a quarterback or you can just watch it in general. If you take snaps on the center, that center is snapping the ball. It's snapping the ball with a lot of velocity and it's going to hit your hand. And I look at it from this standpoint, how many snaps can he take from under center? When he had the hand injury a few years ago, when Brandon Staley was the head coach and Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator, they called a lot of plays from shotgun. It alleviates some of that pressure off of the quarterback instead of you just taking snaps from under center. It is hard. Let's just say it's a missed snap and he hits his hand. We're seeing that right now with the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. He can't take a lot of snaps from under center. He has a big cast on his left hand. So just pay attention to that. I'm happy that it is his non-throwing hand, but that's a dangerous situation. But we all know that he's going to gut things out. He's going to find a way to go out there and play through it. And Marion Hampton is scheduled to come back sooner than later. He hurt his ankle against the Washington Commanders a month ago. So it's one of those situations here with the Chargers. You've had so many injuries with your defense and with your offense, and yet you're 8-4. The next game with the Chargers is against the Philadelphia Eagles. Chargers will be the home team. This is a bit of a hot take. I'm going to take the Chargers to win this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the reason why I say that, the Eagles offense, they have a lot of problems. This defense with the Chargers, they have been phenomenal this season. with Jesse Mentor. So this should be a win for the Chargers. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but if Justin Herbert can maintain the game, get the football out quick, and that's a tough Eagles defense, they can run the football with a Marion Hampton and the same with Kamani Vidal, you'll be fine. You face Kansas City on the road. This is going to be a tough matchup, but they defeated Kansas City once this season. And Kansas City, they cannot put consistent pressure on the quarterback, and Justin Herbert has been phenomenal against the blitz this season. Once again, this defense, they've given Patrick Mahomes a lot of problems in the past. I would take the Chargers in this game. Against the Dallas Cowboys defense is still very suspect, especially on the back end. The Chargers could win this game as well. Then they face the Houston Texans. I'm afraid for the Chargers in this matchup. That pass rush with the Houston Texans is nasty. One of the best pass rushes in the game. And then you face the Denver Broncos on the road. And I'm not saying that the Chargers, they're going to go out there, they're going to win out. But I expect for them to make the NFL playoffs, and I expect for them to win a playoff game this season if they can just continue to make those adjustments. But to give some other players love here before we go over to the defense, Kamani Vidal, he was supposed to be a third-string running back. He's come in this year. He has been a very good running back since they've asked him to be that bell cow. Since you had a Marion Hampton go down with his ankle injury, and the same with Najee Harris. Kamani's averaging 4.5 yards a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns, 543 rushing yards on the year. Very solid running back. Jamari has been the MVP this year on the offensive line. And I'm not trying to hype him up and say that he's a top 5 player at the position. But he was at the guard position. Austin was so terrible. I forgot to mention this. Joe Alt went down with another ankle injury against the Tennessee Titans. He hasn't played a game since then, and he's not going to play again in the regular season. He's out with that ankle injury. But Jamari, who has played at the tackle position before, dating back in the 2022 year, that's when Rashawn Slater went down with the arm injury. Biceps. Here comes Jamari. Had good moments at the tackle position, and the offensive line has performed better with him being a left tackle. You have Trey Pipkins, who is still a guard/tackle, but now you have Bobby Hart at the right tackle position. Zion Johnson, he's played better over the last couple of weeks. Bradley, it is what it is. Bradley plays with a lot of heart. Bradley is not a good starting center in this league, but in the last 2 weeks, he has performed better, and the same with Mekhi Becton. And Mekhi Becton has been very disappointing this year, considering how he played with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I'm not saying that he's a bad right guard to have. He's having better moments over the last couple of weeks. The offensive line is far from perfect. I'm not saying that they're this great unit. I'm not even saying that they are good on most drives, but it's better than what you had when you went against the Washington Commanders and the same against the New York Giants. And a lot of it has to do with play calling and the adjustments with Coach Harbaugh by moving players around. They did make a trade to bring in Trevor Penning. You wasted your draft picks. I'm sorry. Trevor Penning is not a good starting lineman. He's not a good backup lineman either. He was a bust with the New Orleans Saints. He's not a good player. Whether he's a guard or a tackle, he just hasn't translated that skill set over to the NFL level. Was a very good player in college. But as far as being in the NFL, just not a very good player. But it's only so much that you can do when your 2 starting tackles are out and when Mekhi Becton was dealing with injuries early on this year. But very good adjustments by Greg Roman, and the same with Coach Harbaugh. But this defense that I was just speaking about when they faced the Philadelphia Eagles, they're 3rd in total defense, 2nd in passing defense, 13th in rushing defense. And their rushing defense is better than being 13th in the NFL. They allowed a lot of rushing yards to quarterbacks early on in the year. That hasn't been the case over the last 5 weeks. Jesse Mentor went into the game plan, and he realized I had to put more bodies inside the box. These quarterbacks are killing me. Quarterbacks like Jackson Dart. The same with Jaden Daniels. We're going to slow that down. We're going to make some adjustments here. We have Derwin James, who is a safety. We can have him as a linebacker. That's how versatile he is. But let's put an extra body out there in certain possessions. If it's 3rd down and short, let's put an extra linebacker on the field. Let's get away from that 3 safety look. But if it's 1st and 2nd down, it's 1st and 2nd and long, you're damn right we're going to have multiple DBs on the back end. That's just who Jesse Mentor is, dating back to his time with the Baltimore Ravens when he was when he was their defensive coordinator in his time at Michigan. He loves to have a lot of defensive backs on the field to mess with the opposing quarterback's head, whether they're playing cover 3, cover 2. In certain situations, it's just regular man coverage. But quarterbacks, they overthink it. They throw the football. It's a rotating safety. That's what happened with Geno Smith. That's why he had 3 interceptions in that game in week 2. And that's why he struggled last week against this defense. And the same with Patrick in week 1 in Brazil. He had some bad moments in that game. But having Henley at the linebacker position, having him step up over the last couple of weeks has been a major plus. Thule is the best pass rusher on this team. He has 10 sacks on the year. Khalil Mack, another injury here. He went down with an elbow injury against the Raiders in week 2. He missed time. Now he's been able to come back. He is still a very good player against the run. He can steal the edge. He can put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback, but he has definitely taken a step back in his career. The Chargers made a trade with the Baltimore Ravens. They traded Gilman, solid safety, especially last season. You trade him to Baltimore to bring in Owe. Now, Owe at this point in time was not doing much with the Baltimore Ravens. Pretty much a non-factor. Over the last month, since he's been with this team, he has 4 sacks in the year. Now you have that nasty rotation at the pass rushing spot with Bud Dupree, Thule, Owe, and Khalil Mack. You have 4 versatile pass rushers, and they give you something different in terms of stopping the run, getting to the quarterback, and rushing from the interior. Shout out to the general manager. The secondary, one of the best secondaries in all of football. They hit a home run with Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson has been the number 1 corner this year in LA. 3 interceptions on the year, 9 pass deflections. Cam Hart, solid player as an outside corner. Derwin James, they have him listed as a nickel cornerback. He's all around. He can play safety. He can guard him up on tight ends. He can guard running backs out of the backfield. They love him with this organization. When he's fully healthy, he is one of the best defenders in the game. It's not going to show up every single week on the box score. But what he's able to do in terms of taking away the middle of the field against tight ends like Travis Kelce, the same with Brock Bowers, blitzing off the edge and putting pressure on the opposing quarterback, guarding running backs out of the backfield. He's a Swiss Army knife. And another player I want to give a lot of love to, R.J. Mickens, has been very good this year. He doesn't get a lot of credit from the national media, but he really deserves it. 2 interceptions on the year, 2 pass deflections. He's 24 years old. And this is the one thing with Jesse Minter dating back to last season. When they won that game against the Atlanta Falcons, it really made me raise my eyebrow. They won that game and their offense did not score a touchdown. Their defense had a pick 6. They made Kirk Cousins' life a living hell. He had 4 interceptions in that game. And it's not just luck. We've seen Jesse Minter and his defenses do this before in the past, dating back to last season, this season, his time at Michigan and with the Baltimore Ravens. One day he will be a head coach in the National Football League sooner than later. But I view the Chargers as a tough team. They're going to have a lot of grit, and it comes down from their head coach and Coach Harbaugh. He looks like a psychopath on the sideline. And he puts that confidence into his players, whether you're a backup or not. He treats everyone the same. And he has said this many times, dating back to his time at Stanford with the 49ers. If you have a jersey and you're part of my team, you're just as good as a starting player. We're going to need you at some point in time in the year. So he keeps his team fully prepared. It just comes down to a couple of things here with the Chargers. Can the offensive line continue to be this consistent? And how will that injury affect Justin Herbert? And I can see it right now. They go to the postseason and Herbert doesn't have the best game. You're going to have a lot of people calling out Justin Herbert, but he is still missing some of his best players. But you get a Marion Hampton back that's definitely going to help. He can be a very good receiving back coming out of the backfield. He can work things out, averaging 5 to 6 yards a catch. Not saying that he's on the same level as Jahmyr Gibbs or Christian McCaffrey, but he's an impactful player. And one more thing about Justin Herbert, dealing with all the offensive line issues, you have a run-heavy offensive coordinator. 6th in passing touchdowns with 21. 8th in passing yards, 2,842. And 10th in he has 10 interceptions on the year. You go back to last year, they only had one consistent threat, and that was Ladd McConkey. Phenomenal season last year for McConkey. Has taken a step back this year in terms of production, but he's still a very good player. You now have 4 options that you can get the football to. Aronde, rookie at the tight end position. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston. And be on the lookout for Trey Harris as a number 4 wide receiver. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers for the rest of the season? It is a brutal schedule. It's a playoff schedule on the back end. But if you want to win the game in the postseason, you have to beat teams like this. So why not go out there and start early on the back half of the regular season? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.